This is the story of a comic about a captured mermaid and a college student. The comic, created by Yasheng Houby / YoudbG Studio, is super popular, racking up nearly 41.5k likes and 180.3k saves. Desaro, a senior at the St. Petersburg Nautical Academy's biology department, sets sail with his mentor, Rhein, to capture a mermaid for his graduation project and lifelong dream. Off the coast of Iceland, they catch a mysterious black-scaled mermaid. Desaro's heart skips a beat. He remembers the legend Mr. Shinichi, a mermaid expert with 50 years of research, told him years ago in Okinawa. It's about the nightmare mermaid with a blue-black tail and a hint of red. Shinichi warned him never to bring it ashore or face terrible misfortune, describing it as a demon from hell without elaborating further. Now, the legendary creature is right in front of Desaro. The mermaid is powerful and beautiful, instantly catching Desaro's attention. But little does he know, he's already on the mermaid's menu. As the sailors carefully lift the mermaid onto the deck and into a water tank, Desaro's heart nearly stops. He holds his breath, squats down cautiously, and injects a measured dose of anesthetic into the mermaid's tail with the sailor's help. Afterward, he dares to gently trace the curve of the mermaid's tail. The scales are cold, dense, and incredibly smooth, even more so than a dolphin's skin, almost like human skin. This eerie similarity startles Desaro, but he quickly realizes it might just be superficial. However, when he accidentally touches the tip of the tail, a sharp pain shoots through his fingers. He's shocked to find the mermaid's tail has barbs, and its triangular fins are as sharp as blades, capable of slicing through anything that comes close. Blood drips from his fingers, gets absorbed by the scales, and vanishes as if swallowed by some mysterious force. This sends a chill down Desaro's spine. He realizes the mermaid is far more dangerous than he imagined. As Desaro is lost in thought, the mermaid suddenly thrashes about, its tail bending toward him in an impossible arc, like a python trying to coil around his ankle. Desaro is startled by the mermaid's aggressive gaze and falls backward, sitting on the deck, frozen in place as if under a spell. The crew rushes over to control the mermaid, while Rhein drags Desaro aside, pins him down, and stamps on the mermaid's tail, quickly injecting the remaining anesthetic. Desaro screams, fearing the overdose will kill the mermaid, but soon the tail goes limp. Desaro panics, frees himself from Rhein's grip, and removes the net from the mermaid. He examines its state. The mermaid lies on the deck, its back muscles rippling like a coiled bow, exuding the power of a sea predator. Desaro even suspects it could leap up and tear him apart like a shark at any moment. The next second, Rhein grabs Desaro's arm again. Not only does he not let go, but he pulls Desaro closer, their lips almost touching, and whispers menacingly, "Don't you dare sneak around that mermaid without me. I can tell something's off about you today." Desaro wiggles his hand, now red from Rhein's grip, and looks up at him with a face full of feigned fear, his guilt almost choking him. Rhein yanks off Desaro's belt, glances down, and a shadow from his bangs sweeps across his lips, curving into a meaningful smirk. A shiver of unease runs up Desaro's spine. At night, Desaro sneaks past the ship's lookout and easily makes his way to the bottom hold. When he opens the door at the end of the hold, a cylindrical glass tank glowing with green light in the darkness catches his eye. He raises a glow stick and searches through the artificial seaweed for the sleek, dark figure of the mermaid. The mermaid floats quietly at the top of the tank, its hair covering its face, its sharp contours resembling a ghostly specter in the night sky, ready to snatch away his soul. Desaro tiptoes closer to the top of the tank, his steps deliberately light. Even when he reaches the side of the mermaid, it doesn't react, stilling against the tank wall as if sleeping without a care. Though separated only by a layer of glass, Desaro remains cautious. He carefully adjusts his movements, as the stillness is perfect for his observations. He sets the glow stick aside, switches on the night vision mode of his DV, presses himself against the tank, and begins filming the mermaid from various angles, from tail to head. Desaro notices wounds on the mermaid's body. He quickly puts away the DV and searches his medical kit for healing ointments. The mermaid stirs slightly, its eyes slowly open, the dark pupils appearing especially deep in the dim light. The mermaid surfaces, one hand resting on the edge of the platform, its wet body rising out of the water and casting a shadow over Desaro. He gapes in astonishment, unable to fathom how the mermaid's tail supports its weight in the water. For its anatomy, it seems impossible. Desaro is caught off guard and instinctively shields his head, falling backward onto the deck. His body inexplicably slows down, and he can only curl up like a dying snail to avoid the mermaid. The mermaid drags its tail closer to Desaro, who can't move his lower body and can only let the mermaid wind its way up his legs. He watches in horror as cold droplets of water fall on his calves, and his ankles suddenly chill as something wet and sticky grabs hold. It's the mermaid's hand. Soon, Its long, thick hair falls on his skin, trailing over his calves and thighs, then pausing at his lower abdomen. His heart pounds fiercely as he prepares to inject the anesthetic into the mermaid's neck artery the moment its head gets close enough. That's the quickest and most effective way to neutralize an attack. In that instant, Desaro's leg muscles cramp up from the tension. He can't tell what the mermaid wants. It might be planning to rip open his abdomen and devour his organs. If he shoots now, he might hit the mermaid's head. He has to make a choice between the mermaid's life and his own. He grabs the tranquilizer gun and points it at the mermaid. He takes a deep breath, forcing himself to stay calm, and looks down into the eyes of the mermaid pressing against his lower body. The mermaid's eyes, hidden behind its hair, glow with an eerie blue light, like the pupils of a wolf in night vision. The next second, the mermaid collapses to the ground. Desaro quickly checks on it, but the mermaid suddenly opens its eyes and stares at him. For a moment, Desaro feels an indescribable chill. He even thinks the tranquilizer has failed and that he's about to die under the mermaid's claws. Desaro takes the chance to break free, but his foot slips on the mermaid's slippery fin, and he falls. He hastily props himself up on the floor, but before he can regain his balance, he straddles the mermaid's python-like tail. Desaro realizes that the tranquilizer from hours ago has worn off. The mermaid's metabolism is incredibly fast. Even if he injects another dose, it won't kill it. Thinking this, he fiercely bites his tongue, and the pain jolts him out of his daze. He decisively pulls the trigger, accurately shooting the small tranquilizer needle into the mermaid's neck. Desaro finds that this method seems to work immediately. The mermaid obediently relaxes the grip of the hand pressing on his spine, just lightly resting it there. It slowly half-closes its eyes, its light-colored eyelashes drooping like damp wings, and the ferocious look from a few seconds ago softens into a docile and bewildered expression. After waiting for the mermaid's breathing to become steady and deep, indicating it's in a dazed state, he frees his hands and takes out the disinfectant from the medical kit he had flung aside earlier to clean and examine the mermaid's wounds. The wound on the mermaid's shoulder is quite large, with a layer of translucent membrane covering the exposed muscle, effectively preventing blood loss but also slowing down the healing process. And there's a strange protrusion under the membrane. Desaro carefully administers local anesthesia to the mermaid, cuts open the membrane, and sure enough, he extracts a broken shark tooth from the wound. Though only half of it's as big as his thumbnail with jagged edges. It belongs to an adult tiger shark. Just a few hours or a day ago, the mermaid had a fierce encounter with this shark. Judging from its current healthy state and the extent of the tooth's breakage, the shark's fate must have been far worse. To confirm his suspicion, Desaro can't resist touching the mermaid's stomach, which is indeed bloated with undigested food. It seems the mermaid either fought the shark over food or, more likely, hunted it. The mermaid, unaware of Desaro's thoughts, just lies there with half-closed eyes, observing his actions like a bystander, slightly raising an eyebrow and looking down at his hand on its stomach with a curious expression, as if Desaro is just an innocent child who accidentally offended it. This thought makes Desaro feel extremely uncomfortable, and he quickly withdraws his hand to stitch up the wound. However, the mermaid's other webbed hand presses down on his wrist. Desaro's taut nerves loosen slightly as the mermaid's damp, cool webbed hand covers his, pressing his palm against the mermaid's abdominal muscles, which ripple like rock-hard waves. The mermaid's tail gently sways beneath him, seemingly in contentment. Like dolphins, mermaids seem to relish human touch. Propping itself up on its fish-like lower body, the mermaid towers over Desaro, who is half-crouching. Its arms fully encircle him. Desaro can see the mermaid's throat rolling as it swallows, its thin lips curving into an almost sinister smile, revealing sharp, chilling teeth. Res. The mermaid murmurs into his ear, its voice deep and husky, like the currents of a deep-sea trench. This broken whisper reminds Desaro of Agar's, the demon of lust from the Solomon's Key. The mermaid's sharp webbed hand slices open the back of his clothes, and a chill runs down his spine as its wet, sinewy tail forcefully parts his legs. The low murmur continues to echo in his eardrums, creating a whirlpool in his mind, making him feel dizzy and heavy-headed. His body sways, leaning against the mermaid, as if in a nightmare, with everything around him shrouded in a surreal, dark mist. Everything feels distorted, except for the growing desire in his lower abdomen, which is all too real and irresistible. As he gradually loses consciousness, he suddenly hears a shout in the distance. Desaro! Desaro! The voice grows louder and clearer, piercing through the fog and striking his nerves. Desaro snaps out of his enchanted state, and the pressure on him abruptly eases. Before he can react, the mermaid slithers up from the ground, transforms into a sleek black shadow, and dives into the water column, disappearing among the seaweed. Desaro, where are you? That's Rhein's voice. He seems to be on the deck above Desaro's head. Desaro's scalp tingles as he hastily gathers the scattered medical kit and DV, and flees from the hold. He rushes from the bottom hold back to his private cabin, stuffing everything under the bed before Rhein can catch up. He strips off his soaked clothes and dashes into the bathroom. Desaro listens nervously to the noises outside as he turns on the faucet. Hot water gushes from the shower head, and he quickly rinses himself off, but he can't seem to calm down. The strange scent from the mermaid that lingers on his body seems impossible to wash away, and it makes him feel dizzy and disoriented. Moreover, it triggers an incredible reaction in him, causing him to engage in some rapid hand movements. He feels as if something wet is entwining his legs, and a slender shadow glides from the darkness, parting the water and emerging in his hallucination. The mysterious shadow becomes clearer and closer, and a low voice whispers in his ear, Ras. Agaras. What language are these syllables and what do they mean? Desaro seems to have heard them last night. He tries hard to recall, but there's a gap in his memory that he can't piece together. Suddenly, he hears a click behind him. The door, which was locked, somehow swings open. Desaro's heart jolts as a familiar voice sounds from behind. What are you doing here? Rhein's voice is laced with unmistakable anger. Desaro sees Rhein's face, dark and almost livid. His gaze slicing down Desaro's back and lingering on the towel wrapped around his waist. A chill runs down Desaro's spine, and an ominous feeling creeps up from within. He swallows hard, trying to explain, but before he can form a complete sentence, he's yanked forward and pinned against the door by Rhein's body. The pressure on his back is suffocating. What did I tell you last night, Desaro? Rhein's hand slides down Desaro's side and grabs the edge of the towel. Desaro didn't expect Rhein to turn so terrifying so suddenly. Usually, he's polite and witty, the epitome of a professor and scholar, not at all like his current state. Desaro even wonders if Rhein has some kind of split personality disorder. Rhein reveals that he knows Desaro has been in contact with the mermaid today. He rips off the towel and, like a police officer arresting a suspect, pins Desaro's hands behind his back. Rhein's intrusive and threatening smile slowly fades under Desaro's glare, replaced by a look of restrained frustration. His brow twitches as he leans in and whispers in Desaro's ear. Desaro, you're too naive. One day, your so-called nobility will crumble in the face of reality, and you'll submit to me, and I'm waiting for that day. Your adorable appearance almost makes me fall for you. Rhein tilts his face as if to kiss Desaro's lips. Desaro turns his head to dodge, but the force is too strong, and he smacks into the door behind him, his head throbbing in pain. Everything spins around him. Just then, the floor really starts to shake violently, and a familiar, strange fragrance wafts through the air. The bathroom suddenly goes pitch black. Desaro can't see anything but feels Rhein's body leave his, as if yanked away by some force. Then, in the darkness, he hears a muffled grunt, as if Rhein is startled by something. I guess the mermaid must be protecting its wife. Storm! Storm! The sailors shout in the distance. Desaro doesn't care what's happening and smashes open the bathroom door, not even bothering to pick up the towel, and runs out, rushing back to his cabin and slamming the door shut. The storm outside is raging, with the sudden tempest tearing through everything in its path and causing the entire ship to rock violently. The windows are covered in streaks of rain, making it impossible to see anything clearly. Desaro dozes off for a while, only to be jolted awake by a gust of cold, damp wind. When he opens his eyes, he finds the cabin dark and gloomy, with the sky outside as dark and red as the evenings in Moscow just before the polar night, as if soaked in blood. The window in front of the desk is open, and the biting sea wind is howling into the room. Desaro sneezes and quickly gets up to close the window, glancing up at the glow-in-the-dark clock on the wall. Only half an hour has passed. How did the sky get so dark? Suddenly, a figure swiftly approaches. Desaro's adrenaline skyrockets, and he feels a chill down his spine. The mermaid is in Desaro's cabin. Desaro's breath seems to stop, and his body feels glued to the spot, with only the low growl from the mermaid's throat getting closer and closer. The desk lamp flickers a few times, sizzles, and then the room plunges back into darkness. A damp smell is right behind him. Desaro. The syllables sound like the mermaid is calling Desaro's name. A wet, webbed hand rests on Desaro's shoulder. Desaro shudders violently, and his body reacts faster than his mind. He grabs the edge of the desk, leaps up with an agility he's never had before, and pushes open the window to jump out onto the deck outside. Desaro struggles to keep his balance on the swaying deck and heads straight for the captain's quarters, climbing the stairs to the second deck. But in his panic, he slips and starts to fall. The expected pain doesn't come. Instead, a sudden gust of wind hits his back, and his waist is wrapped around by something long, thick, slippery, and scaly. For just a second, He's suspended in mid-air before being pinned down by a dark shadow looming over him. Its claws grip his arms, and its head moves over Desarow's upper body, as if carefully sniffing him. Suddenly, its lips press against Desarow's chest. Desaro feels the soaked fabric of his shirt, already clinging to his body, tear with a swift rip. Desaro shakes his head, frantically trying to clear the water from his eyelids, staring at the mermaid's actions with a racing heart. Oh my god! What on earth does this mermaid want to do?